I want to tell you one of my favorite stories of all time, and it's all about the month of Tishrei. This story was told by the Baal Shem Tov. Now, I don't think it's a real story. I think it's a mashal, a story that has a lesson. The Baal Shem Tov told us that once upon a time, there was a prince, and this prince lived a royal life. The prince lived in the palace with the king and the queen and all the royal people. But one day, the prince decided to go out on his own and leave the palace life and start to act and do things that were not royal and that are not right for a prince to do. The prince ended up going to a very, very not so nice place. He got a little bit dirty and his clothes were worn and old. Well, after a while, the prince was so sad and missed his royal palace life that he returned to the gates of the palace and he tried to get in, but the guard was standing at the gate and the guard did not recognize the prince. And the guard said, "No way, no entry allowed." Well, the prince had nothing else to do. He begged and begged and begged until he started to cry. And he started to call out to his father, "Father, King, Father, King, it's me, your son." The king was sitting in his throne room and the king could hear the royal prince's cries from down by the palace door. The king looked out the window and he could see his son had returned home. The king rushed downstairs and saw his son there. The son went to the father and said, "Oh, I'm so glad you recognized my voice. Please, father, could you ever forgive me?" And of course, the father, the king, was such a loving person. He forgave his son, and the two of them gave each other the biggest, most loving hug. Well, then the king decreed that all the people in the kingdom should come to the palace for a great party. And they had this beautiful party and everyone was so happy. And finally, the king and the prince were back together again. Well, this story the Baal Shem Tov tells us is not just a story, but it's our story, the Jewish people's story, and it's the story of Tishrei. You know, there are 5 main parts to the story. The prince leaving, the prince trying to get back in, the king forgiving the prince, the hug, and the party. The Baal Shem Tov teaches us that the going away from the palace, that's during the year. We make mistakes, we do some things that Hashem doesn't like, and we have to come back to Hashem and say sorry. So we come back on Rosh Hashanah and we blow the shofar. Do you know which part of the story the shofar is? It's the part where the prince calls out and cries to his father, and the father recognizes his voice. The next part, the king forgives the prince. That's Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the day Hashem forgives us for anything we did wrong or any mistake we made. Next, the king and the prince hug each other. And that's the holiday of Sukkot. The sukkah is like a big hug. Hashem reaches around us and hugs us because he loves us so much. And finally, the great party, the celebration, you guessed it, that's Simchas Torah, Simchat Torah. That's the day we celebrate our love and connection to Hashem. So this Tishrei, let's call out to Hashem with the shofar. Let's do teshuvah and say I'm sorry on Yom Kippur. Let's give Hashem a great big hug on Sukkot, and we'll dance together on Shmini Atzeres and Simchat Torah all together. And hopefully this year we'll be together in Yerushalayim with the Baal Shem Tov and of course with Mashiach. Happy Chodesh Tishrei.
Welcome to RabbiB.org, your one-stop shop for everything Rabbi B. On my site, you can find out more about me, watch the latest video, or check out past episodes. Check out all of Rabbi B's books, albums, upcoming concerts, and events. I even have activities and coloring pages too. Easily contact me with a question, comment, or just to say hi. And you can do all that with the comfort and safety of one website, RabbiB.org. Let's make being Jewish fun and exciting.